Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is take the understanding from the last section and reapply it to the reproduction schema and see how the reproduction schema can be used to explain how this magic trick happens of this extra money and extra commodities. So the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to use Sraffa's three-sector scheme again. So when we were looking at it before, we kind of assumed that these pigs were materially necessary for some reason in the production of wheat and iron in pigs. And rather than doing that, this time we're going to use it to show that this scheme already kind of contains a capitalist society that produces surplus product. So we're going to assume that these pigs, they're surplus product. They're what capitalists spend their money on. And for this reason, they're socially necessary. Even though they're not materially necessary for the production of wheat and iron, they are socially necessary in order for the society to reproduce itself. And if you want to understand this more, then I'm going to link to a video by Ian Wright. He's done quite a lot of work on this, and he has some good videos on it, so it's worth watching. So then the iron is going to be fixed in our circulating capital, and the wheat is going to be our variable capital, V, or wages is the worker's consumption good. So again, this is our input-output table. This is going to be our inputs down here. Our outputs will be across here. And so I have CVS, CVS, and because this is very easy and very simple, you know, the capitalists, they're only eating pigs, the workers, they're only eating wheat, they never buy each other's product. It's just going to make it a very simple schema to work with, because CV and S directly relate to the three sectors of wheat, iron and pigs. Okay, so if we start transferring this to the table, in the wheat sector we're going to need 240 wheat to make wheat, and we're going to need 12 iron to make wheat. And then if we draw a line across here, we can see, so up until here, this is what is materially necessary for the production of wheat. And then we add on top of this 18 pigs. So these 18 pigs are socially necessary for the production of wheat, because they're what the capitalist is gonna need in order to make it worthwhile for them to do production. They're not gonna bother producing if they don't get this surplus value for whatever reason. So then the iron industry, they're gonna get 90 wheat, and they're gonna need 6 iron, so they're going to need 90 wheat, and they're going to need 12 pigs as surplus. And over here they're going to need 120 wheat to make pigs, and they're going to need 3 iron to make pigs, and they're going to get 30 pigs surplus in the end. So if we go back to this M, C, P, C dash, M dash. Well, now we can see quite clearly these are the inputs. So these are going to be our big C. And here this is the surplus. So this is going to be our little c. Remember it said C dash equals big C plus little c. So here we can see, so this C is going to be made up of 450 wheat and 21 iron. And this C dash is going to be made up of, well, they're going to have to reproduce all of these figures again in order to reproduce society. So they're going to need to reproduce the 450 wheat and the 21 iron, and also the surplus product, which is 60 pigs. I can remember the values from the last video, So if you want to see how these prices were derived, go back to that video. I'm just going to write them in here. So it's £45, £21, £45, £21, and £30. Okay, so we can see that this is what's being paid out on production, and this is what's being paid for in the end. So we have this extra £30 that somehow appeared that we need to account for. Like, how is this payment happening? So now we can look at how this society reproduces itself and how different sections of the society exchange with each other in order to reproduce society as a whole. Now, firstly, there's some sectors where the physical commodity, it doesn't have to leave the sector, so it doesn't have to exchange with another sector of society. So take, for example, the 240 wheat that's produced by the wheat industry as the portion that goes to wages. Well, it's just the money relating to it. So the capitalists are going to pay out £24 to their workers in wages, and the workers, they're just going to give straight back this £24 in order to buy the 240 wheat that they need to survive. So Marx says you may as well just pay them in value tokens. You're not paying them in money at all. But the same thing happens with this 6 iron here. So assume that there's more than one business, for example, in the iron industries, and for whatever reason they need iron in a different form, maybe. So like 3 iron is bought by one industry and produced by one industry, and the other 3 is produced by one and bought by the other. So in the end, £6 are paid out and £6 are received back in. And the same thing happens with the 30 pigs up at the top. So £15 are going to be paid out, £15 are going to be paid back in. Now here it's really important to distinguish between money as in the cash that we use and monetary value. So what we're not asking here, like what isn't the interesting question, is how does this sector get £15? So the businesses in the sector, they can borrow £15 from the bank, say. What's important is like how is the value, the monetary value, realized. So let me give an example. Say I have £1, and me and you, we just pass this £1 between each other. We can do that all day long, but it doesn't mean anything. We're just passing £1 between each other. Now say that one of these businesses, they borrow £1, and they're passing it between each other to buy up these pigs. So each £1 buys half a pig. So now they keep passing it between each other, realizing each half a pig on each occasion, but the monetary value, the maximum monetary value that they're going to realize is £15, because there's only £15 worth of pigs in the industry. Once they get to £15, they've bought all of the 30 pigs, and now they're just passing it between them for no reason. Obviously they're not going to do that. So this £15 is realized by, as long as there is some kind of cash that gets to that department, the monetary value can be realized. And so this £15, so £15 of this £30 is now taken care of. As long as the businesses have access to some kind of cash, they can realize this £15 worth of value between themselves. What about the other £15 that is left? Well, here's kind of where the magic trick happens. So in the production process, this just here, this has £12 and £3. So this was £15 that was spent out on the production process, and this £15 it went to the wheat and the iron industry. And because of the way that this system works out, it's always going to be the case that this plus this is equal to this plus this. So this here is equal to £6 and this here is equal to £9. And so the total of this and this is £15. So this £15 just here, this extra £15 that we need to account for, is already inside here. It's already found inside this £15 just here. And it's already inside here as well. But it's because it's iterated out again in order for firstly for to pay for the wheat and the iron, and then secondly to pay again for the pigs, that this value is able to be realized and it appears as an extra £15 rather than as just part of this part of the means of production. And so this is where the magic trick happens, and this is how this £30 of extra money gets accounted for. So there's one more point that I wanted to make about this, and that's that so far we've been considering these as our means of production, our material inputs into the production process, and these in a sense as our output, our surplus product. Although we've also called it what's socially necessary for the capitalist to produce. Well, if we turn this table on its side, and we consider as a matter of total social production, we can now see that these are the necessary inputs, or the big C, and this is kind of the output, or small c, or surplus. And if that seems counterintuitive at first, because now we've got wheat and iron as part of the surplus product, all you need to remember is that these are actually the material quantities of surplus. So for each industry, so in the iron industry they're producing 3 iron surplus. Here they're producing 120 wheat of surplus, and here they're producing 30 pigs as surplus, which is kind of odd anyway because it's the surplus of the surplus. The pigs were in the first place only ever a surplus product. Well, now what else seems slightly counterintuitive is that we've got 30 pigs here, and these become a necessary input to these here as a whole on a social level. And we can ask the question, well, why do we need to produce pigs in order to produce wheat? We already know that only these two inputs are technically necessary to produce this whole quantity of wheat, right? So why do we need pigs to produce wheat? And the answer is that it's a problem of effective demand. So if we don't have these pigs to exchange, because we're in an exchange-based society, then there's no effective demand can pay for this wheat, and so the pigs become necessary as the thing against which this surplus wheat exchanges. Now we could say, well, this is a kind of a strange organization for society. What about if workers own their own means of production and there's no capitalists anymore who are buying up these pigs with all of their surplus value that they're extracting from the workers? And actually you can see that there's no difference whatsoever if you have workers' cooperatives, because all that's going to happen is still an exchange-based society. These workers, or these people over here who want to be able to eat, they're still going to have to find something to exchange against in order to buy this wheat. So they're going to need to work on something that these people are going to want. And maybe that's a good thing. Like maybe everybody in society really wants pigs. They're really important to life as a whole. The problem comes when it's only capitalists who wanted these pigs in the first place. I mean, everybody else, maybe they like pigs, but they just don't like them that much. They'd rather have more time with their family, or they'd just rather spend the time doing the things that they enjoy doing and not making pigs. So we can ask what that might look like, and we can see that this bolt's just here. Well, we know that these two material inputs are enough to make this whole amount of wheat. We also know that these two material inputs are more than enough to produce these two material inputs. In fact, these are going to go down a little bit because some of these are going into making this 3 iron, which you need to make pigs, which you no longer need to make. So then, as just kind of an estimate, this is the amount of material inputs that are actually necessary for reproduction of this amount of people. And we can say, well, now maybe we can just, so we're making this 120 wheat, we can just distribute it to people. Or we can say, well, maybe that's not quite fair, because now these people, they're not doing anything, and these people are doing all of the work. And we could also say, well, maybe these people can split the work differently. So like now all of them are doing some work, but they're doing less work. So this idea that these are inputs and these are outputs, this is also related to Ian Wright's work that I mentioned before. So I'm going to link to that video below.